25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Joe Reichel is in the studio. Made a nice entrance, by the way, on the video. Perfect timing. We are here. He is here to answer your questions about that remodeling job you're doing, that repair job you're doing. Maybe you are looking for a little bit of advice on what tool to use, what equipment to use, or maybe something bigger than that. Who to call?
Who to call?
Right now, the person to call is that man right there, Joe Reichel. He's here from Damage Control Services, and that's what they do all the time, fixing up the things that need to be fixed up in your homes. It's interesting that you follow Bob Kennedy too.
Yes, he's talking about carpeting and wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yep, we redo flooring a lot in different homes as well as wallpaper. The neat thing about wallpaper, and I didn't really get a chance to listen to his show too much, but wallpaper is coming back.
That's what he said. Yeah, he did say that.
A lot of people are starting to put it in homes again, and it's really there's a lot of nice wallpapers out there that create a nice finish. It's not necessarily one of my favorites. I'm not a wallpaper fan, but
if I remember right, wallpaper had a tendency, if it wasn't put up right, to develop some kind of mold between the paper and the wall.
Yes, if you've got a moisture issue where like moisture is coming in from the outside, a lot of times, like cracks in the wall or whatever, and moisture can get in, that wallpaper creates a barrier where it doesn't dry. So between the wallpaper and the drywall, you will get a mold in there at different times.
It falls off the wall or bubbles or.
Well, it eventually will be be somewhere where you can you'll see that it's causing some problems. So you might never even know it's there though. A lot of times you won't tell. You won't be able to tell that it's there.
So the mobile home that burnt up in my neighborhood is being torn down, and the metal will be brought to a recycling plant. So there's a salvageable part that they actually can get some money for.
Yep.
I never knew that before.
Yeah, there's usually when they do a demolition of a home or a mobile home, whatever it is that there's different things that can be salvaged, and a lot of times people will go in and do the whole salvage on it. So I know whenever we do a demolition project, a lot of times there's guys that, in past projects, we've had guys come in and they'll pull all the wiring out, and then they take that and recycle it, or all the aluminum off the aluminum soffit or things like that. And, we don't have to pay for it. They do it so that they can recycle it.
Well, I remember when we were demolishing the old restaurant that used to be right here.
Right.
We were dragging all that stuff out to the dumpster, and it was not unusual to see somebody in that dumpster getting that stuff out and just taking it to the recycling or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's same with scrap wood or whatever. People use it for different projects.
I guess
a lot
that's
of times.
True.
So whether you're building a little shed or a doghouse or whatever, people. What do they say? One man's trash is another man's treasure.
That's what they say, yeah.
And that's I've watched different videos and whatnot for some of these other countries where people are, they're building homes or buildings and whatnot, and the materials that they're using are in worse shape than what typically we're throwing away on the job site.
Oh, really? Well.
So, and that's that's some of these underdeveloped countries, but it's all about what we've become used to, and we're on a demolition project, for example, like this restaurant, the restaurant that was here before, and we're taking things out and throwing them away.
Right. Somebody else could use them.
Sometimes it's still in usable shape. So
it's true.
There's a lot of the different places like Habitat for Humanity. If you're getting rid of, let's just say you're putting new doors in your home, you can donate your doors, the old doors, to Habitat, get a tax refund when you donate to something. What do they call that? A receipt, a tax refund receipt, so that you can put it on your taxes, and they'll sell it and make money off of it. So
it's good to know.
Yeah.
Do you have any projects right now?
We've got a lot of projects going right now.
Let me hear one of them.
Well, this morning, for example. We went to a guy that was a listener of the show, and he called in, and he's got a mold type issue where only in the cooler months, like now, where mold starts growing on a wall in a room. And so we went there and looked at it, and he's got elevated humidity levels in there. So we're going to have to get the air conditioner guy out there and check that, make sure that the air conditioner is working properly, and then go in and clean the mold and, decontaminate the area and probably put a new coat of paint and everything. So.
Okay. Is that considered a pretty easy job for you guys?
That'll be an easy job. I mean, it is an easy fix. However, we've got to figure out exactly what's causing the problem.
That's the hard part.
That's the difficult part.
Yeah.
So we've got that. We've yesterday we got a flood referral from Holder Insurance. They called with one of their clients had a flood.
Oh wow!
So went out there. It was a water supply line that had broke, and so the poor lady, she's at home. Her husband is off on a fishing trip. And this flood happens, and she's left here to take care of it while he's out enjoying himself.
Oh, no.
So, poor lady, but we were able to help them. And then,
better if she has the flood than him. He'll sink.
So that was one of our projects yesterday. Sunday, we got another call that was a supply line for a hot water heater. Had sprung a leak, and so there was water everywhere in a bedroom. And
every time you talk about these things, it worries me because I always think I got to go check all these things. I got to check the supply line to the refrigerator, to the wash machine, to the water heater.
Right, and a lot of times these are the lines that are in the walls even too. So
yikes!
You don't even know, but
yikes!
A friend of mine and I were talking earlier today actually about another friend, and they've been gone on vacation. And, they had mentioned in passing about checking on their house, but they never gave anybody a key to do it. So,
oh, no.
They've been gone a couple weeks, and we were talking about it. It's like nobody's been there to check on it because nobody has a key. So,
oh, wow.
But, it's one of those things where, typically you're home all the time, and you're able to take care of these things or to see it if it happens. And, if you've got an area that's, you've got water coming out, I guess here's where I'm going with it. We had one customer one time, they had water coming out on their floor and they didn't do anything about it.
Okay.
They just didn't think about it. So 2 days later, it's 3 times, 4 times the size.
Yeah.
And they're finally calling.
Oh, no.
So wouldn't it have been better at the very start to call,
Sure,
to say, hey, we've got some sort of an issue here. Not sure what it is. And that instance just ended up being a slab leak, but, and you don't know, but, okay, and you're in the middle of the room or, and all of a sudden there's a wet spot.
That's not good.
Got to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
Something's causing it. And that's, then same time, same thing, a lot of times I'm driving around, I'm seeing houses that have lots and lots of buildup on the roofs with tree debris.
Exactly.
Leaves
right.
and or pine needles. Those pine needles are terrible for that because they don't come off really easy. So if you don't do anything about it, if you don't clean that off, it will create problems. It's creating a problem, and it's lessening the lifespan of your shingles. So these are things that you just get up there or have somebody get up there and blow it off. There's lots of people that can do that. So if you're not able to do it yourself, so it's just a matter of taking care of that.
Yeah. How do you know when you're on a roof that you're not going to fall through the roof?
Well, you shouldn't ever fall through the roof unless the home has been neglected. And I mean, if you've been inside the home and there's a lot of water damage evident on the ceiling, then you definitely have a roof leak, and there could be
better be careful
an issue up there.
Yeah.
And typically at that point, there's going to be more signs of damage.
Take a little break, and we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. After some dense morning fog, we'll see plenty of clouds today. It'll be warm but humid with a shower in spots, mainly this afternoon. The high today 72 to 76. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a couple of showers around, along with some fog late, low 56 to 60. Tomorrow, areas of fog in the morning, otherwise mostly cloudy skies with the highs anywhere from the mid-60s to the lower 70s. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
We broke down, Joe.
You broke down.
Something happened. Yeah, the computer froze or something.
Stop, drop, and roll. That's what I say.
Have an error. The phone lines are open, by the way, if you want to call Joe and ask a question about the repair job you're doing, if you want some advice on that do-it-yourself project, or perhaps who to call for a professional touch to everything. The number right now, right here, to call Joe is 622-9622. And I have a little job I'm going to do.
You are?
Yeah. Doug, my friend Doug.
Right.
Well, I guess the rain or the wind or something pushed down part of his, edging on the roof of his house. So it looks...
The overhang, the soffit?
I don't know what you call it, but it's a big piece of wood.
Okay.
Yeah, that just looks like it's just for looks. It doesn't really have a function, I don't think.
This is,
like right over his door.
The shingles come down, and then this piece of wood?
Yes.
That's the fascia.
The fascia.
Yeah, you have the shingles.
Okay.
And then you have the fascia, and then underneath that is the soffit. The soffit goes back to the wall.
So the fascia and the soffit, I guess, came off together. Just kind of fell off. He said, "Can you come over here? I want to show you something." So I stepped over this thing. I said, "Did you know your thing fell down here?" And he said, "Yeah, that's what I wanted to show you."
So be very careful, because you're going to have to probably be up on a ladder.
It looks heavy.
It shouldn't be too bad.
I mean, not too heavy to lift, but kind of heavy to work with a ladder.
A little awkward, maybe.
Yeah.
We might need 2 ladders, have him up on one holding it for you so you can get it in place and nail it back up.
Just nails, huh? Don't need glue?
If it's wood, you probably just use nails.
Just nails.
Or screws, you could screw it up.
And I said I could screw it up real good. And I said to him, "Well, you're lucky that didn't fall on your head. You're lucky you weren't standing under it when it fell off." Yeah.
Had it been loose?
I have no idea. I don't know.
There's a lot of times you'll see, different pieces of fascia, or the soffit is falling down.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times with the aluminum soffit especially, wind will catch that and knock it loose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, this is wood. For sure. It has big nails. I don't know how they ever came loose. Maybe there's some rotten wood up there.
Could be some rotten wood. It could be, and that's, I hope not, but I hope not rotten wood, or I hope not also. A lot of times you'll have termite damage. You can get termites up there, and that'll cause problems. I was looking at a house last week that was the case.
Really? Mm-hmm. So if he's listening, just keep saying more, because the more worried he is, the more I'll hear about it later on.
I'm sure there's nothing to be afraid of. Everything will be just fine. Larry can put it up there, no problem.
Are there home remedies for termites, or do you have to always get a professional for termites?
It really depends to what extent.
Really?
And how much damage they've caused. But you need to do I would recommend a professional treatment. Come in and take care of those. So.
Now, what do they do? They actually drill into the concrete when they do termite?
It depends. There's a couple different ways to take care of it, and it depends if you have a concrete home or a block home versus a wood frame home. If you have a wood frame home, they're not going to bore into the concrete unless you have a slab.
That's what I mean, the slab.
Okay, because sometimes a wood frame home is built up on like has a subfloor.
Okay, yeah. I don't know.
So it really depends on the structure, the type of home that you have, and that's why a lot of times people, nowadays will have they have their building or their home tented, so that they treat it that way.
Tinted?
Tented.
Oh, tented.
Yeah, and then they.
Oh, just do the whole thing in one shot. Oh, wow.
But then that's if you have termites already. If one of the ways to get rid of them, if you've you can also have the treatment done where they do those holes in the concrete and put that poison, under the slab to get rid of them that way.
By the way, that would be probably another reason to not want wallpaper, I would think, is that the bugs could get under it, right? The roaches and everything else.
Under the wallpaper?
Yeah, don't you think?
The wallpaper, if it's put up right,
if it's done right,
it's glued directly to the drywall, so you won't have any there won't be any room for roaches or bugs to get in there.
The phone line is open if you want to call Joe. The number is 622-9622. And if you don't want to call on the air, you're more likely to just call Joe directly. What's your phone number?
My phone number is 352-817-6574, or you can email me, joe@damageflorida.com.
We were talking this morning about insurance, about homeowners insurance, and how the property is not insured. What I wasn't clear about, and I probably had the answer but it didn't sink in, does it apply when you have homeowners insurance? Your swimming pool is on the property. So does your homeowners insurance cover the pool?
Yes, your pool would be covered with that, but you want to make sure that your homeowner policy, and make sure that it is covered on there. So, I mean, your insurance agent needs to know that you have a pool.
And this morning where we talk about why insurance costs so much, Linda, one of your regular callers, one of our regular callers to a lot of the shows, she is an insurance agent. And
Linda Gygax, yeah.
Right, and she said that the insurance has to be able to cover the cost of removing the debris in case of a fire. So that's why, that explains why sometimes it's higher than maybe you realize it should be.
Yeah. Well, and here again, too, with pretty much everything that we do as far as a disaster, it is always going to cost more and take longer to do a restoration project. And I say restoration, whether it be a fire or a flood or storm or tree damage, whatever type of disaster, versus new construction. With new construction, we're just going in and building all brand new.
Right.
With a restoration project, we've got to do the cleanup, we've got to do the demolition, we've got to get it back to the point where it can be rebuilt.
Yeah.
And two, we're working, typically working with your insurance company, so we've got to make sure that we're doing everything in the whole step-by-step process so that they're ready for it. It's taken care of the way they need it, the homeowners, and also the insurance company, and it's all paid for. Because if we do something that's not paid for in the insurance company, paid for by the insurance company, either the homeowner has to pay for it or we would end up being stuck with it.
Oh, that wouldn't be right.
No.
How could you stay in business doing that?
So that's why we need to make sure that, whatever your policy covers, that's what you're getting. So, if your policy doesn't cover, let's just say you're getting, you have to replace one window. Some policies, there's a percentage of at what point they'll take over and do the rest of them, for example. Or they'll just pay for that, just up to that, or just this gets done or whatever. Like for example, mobile homes. A mobile home's insurance policy will typically, if you have cabinet damage, they'll pay to fix that one cabinet. If you have a regular home, constructed home, your insurance policy, if you have some cabinet damage, you're probably, more than likely, going to get all brand new cabinets.
Why? What's the difference?
It's the cost. It's the quality level.
Okay.
Pretty much is the difference there.
Okay, so a site-built home, as opposed to a mobile home, has more.
And it's going to be a more expensive,
higher quality.
It's going to be a more expensive insurance, policy. But they're going to pay for more. Typically pay for more. You're going to have more coverage than you would with a mobile home.
We've got a couple of minutes left if you want to call in and ask a question. The number is 622-9622. Maybe you are looking for a way to remodel your home and getting some ideas.
I looked at a home last week, and it has, it's a distressed property. Actually, I'm going to look at another one this afternoon. Distressed property, yeah, and it's this one I'm looking at today has quite a bit of mold damage. It's been left a vacant home that's been sitting for a while, and
oh wow, that's
a lot of nastiness to it.
Really? So when you say distressed, not financially distressed, or
physically distressed?
Physically, the damages.
Right.
The neglect is probably
neglect. Better. And as there's quite a few properties like that. If you're driving around looking at neighborhoods, you'll see they're overgrown and whatnot. So.
And you have a phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe.
Good morning, Joe. This is Linda.
Good morning, Linda.
Were your ears burning?
Hi. Yeah, I was listening to about the insurance thing, and I think some of our mobile home policies, some of the very, very older ones, like Foremost, they are HO3 policies, which is a broader policy, and they cover almost like a homeowner's. But then some of your newer Florida companies, that the policies that were introduced after the hurricanes, then they were more watered down.
Right.
And they were more comprehensive policy rather than a named peril. And some of them only pay like actual cash value, and they got all these different clauses in there on how they can replace and repair. But there's a few of those good policies out there, and some of those older mobile homes. Foremost is still out there, which is a halfway decent policy. You can't write with it. You can't get it today. The policy's not available, but they continued and kept the policyholders they had.
Let me ask you this question, Linda. I'm really glad you called in and was, to talk about this. What is it? Are you able to, as far as the sinkholes and stuff, have you been able to find coverage for people for that?
Few companies. And the sad thing is, I can buy it all day. I can get sinkhole coverage all day long if you have a higher value home.
Right.
If I can qualify you to write with Chubb or Chartis AIG, I can get sinkhole coverage on every single policy I write.
Now let me ask.
Some of the companies, but your house has to be $500,000 or greater value with Chubb.
Right.
And with AIG, you have to write all five. You have to write 5 lines of business, which is sometimes hard to do. So you have to write a home, an umbrella, auto, collections. Like jewelry,
right.
Or 4 lines, I guess it is. But there are companies out there that say if you obtain the policy and within the first 30 days, if you do the inspection and you pass the inspection, it can be added on. But mostly anybody in this area doesn't pass the inspection.
Right. Let me ask you this. Is there, if someone has had a sinkhole and it has been remediated, what are their options for, are they able to get sinkhole coverage again?
They can get a catastrophic ground collapse, but your standard companies won't write them normally, but Citizens will with documentation.
Okay.
Citizens insurance, but they normally, I doubt that Citizens will give them the thing. They're not going to pass it. They've already had a sinkhole, so they won't pass the inspection. So no, they'll just be able to get the catastrophic ground collapse.
Okay.
Now, except like Chubb. It was funny because we had just written a new piece of business, and when the customers, when the inspector went out to inspect the property, they seen that they were doing the repairs as at the time, and they were fine with it as long as the repairs were made.
Okay.
So you never know what a company like Chubb, But again, the house has to be $500,000 value or greater.
Yeah, not many homeowners have that.
No, there's some, but
yeah.
they're not. But, that's like maybe 20% of Marion County.
Right, that's the more of a majority.
Are, it hurts. But the thing about a company like Chubb is they're national, so they're not afraid of a little sinkhole in Florida, where most of these Florida companies are so scarce because they just write in Florida. Their eggs are all here. They're not all over the country.
Right.
So their risk isn't spread out. So they don't want to take that risk, where some of these national companies are more than willing to take it. Awesome. I have also heard that that on a if it's a good risk, that it's not impossible to get the sinkhole endorsement with State Farm units.
Okay.
I had heard that.
Well, I'm glad you called in.
Of them. Most of our Florida companies do everything in their power to fail that inspection.
Yeah.
And they can fail it just because you have a hairline crack on the house.
Right.
Or if there's been 3 sinkholes within a quarter of a mile.
Well, I hate to cut you off, Linda, but I'm running out of time today. Thank you for calling, though.
Okay.
And if you have any questions or need help, give me a call, 352-817-6574, or you can email me, joe@damageflorida.com.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Joe. Good show.
Thank you, Larry.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
CBS News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The French magazine targeted by terrorists, defiant with its new issue.